So this morning, you may have guessed from what we've said and what we've been doing around our tables, that we're looking at this theme of God is creator. Each of these all-age Sundays, we've been looking at what it means to talk about God. What are some of what's the nature of God? Who is God like? And as we've done each month, we've looked at a different aspect of who God is. That God is holy, He's just, that God is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And I've probably missed a few, but this morning we're looking at God is creator. And I wonder what comes to your mind when we say that God is creator. What comes to your mind when you think of and say God is creator? Does anybody want to, this is an all-age Sunday, so we can be a bit chaotic and a bit interactive. Stick your hand up or shout something out, hopefully I'll hear it. What does it mean to say that God is creator? Made all things. Yep. He's in all things. Yeah. Anything else? He's made us. Made the whole world. That great song, He's got the whole world in His hands. He's uncreated. Yeah. Anything else? We're made in His image. Yes, I'm going to be mentioning a little bit about that this morning. Yeah. His heart breaks when He sees what's happening to His world that He's made. Yeah. So perhaps when you think about the fact that God is creator, the first thing that might come to your mind, if we were thinking, okay, like, what does the Bible have to tell me about how God is a creator? Perhaps the first place that your mind might go to is, it's coming right to the very beginning. Genesis 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And we're going to actually, Miracle is going to come and read all of Genesis 1 to us. So if you've got a Bible on your phone, or you've got a proper paper Bible with you, or you can grab some from the bookcase over there, then follow along. Miracle's going to come and read that to us. Just to say, Miracle, I don't have a Bible here. If you might need to grab one. I forgot to get one. I'm very sorry. Let's give Miracle a round of applause. Thank you, Miracle. Genesis 1, the whole thing. Yeah, you need a microphone. I'm well prepared this morning.
Thank you. Testing. Okay. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and empty, and the darkness covered the deep waters, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the surface of the waters. Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw that the light was good. Then He separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day and the darkness night. And the evening passed and morning came, marking the first day. Then God said, "Let there be a space between the waters to separate the waters of the heavens from the waters of the earth." And that is what happened. God made this space to separate the waters of the earth from the waters of the heavens. God called the space sky. And the evening passed and the morning came, marking the second day. Then God said, "Let the waters beneath the sky flow together into one place, so dry ground may appear." And that is what happened. God called the dry ground land and the waters seas, and the Lord saw that it was good. Then the Lord said, let the land sprout with vegetation, every sort of seed-bearing plant, and trees that grow seed-bearing fruit. These seeds will then produce the kinds of plants and trees which they came. And that is what happened. The land produced vegetation, all sorts of seed-bearing plants, and the trees with seed-bearing fruit. Their seeds produced plants, and the trees of the same kind. And the Lord saw that it was good. And evening passed, and the morning came, marking the third day. Then the Lord said, "Let lights appear in the sky to separate the day from the night. Let them be signs to mark the seasons, days, and years. Let these lights in the sky shine down on earth." And that is what happened. God made two great lights, the larger one to govern the day and the smaller one to govern the night. He also made the stars. God set these lights in the sky to light the earth, to govern the day and night, and separate the light from the darkness. And the Lord saw that it was good. And evening passed, and morning came, marking the fourth day. Then God said, "Let the waters swarm with fish and other life. Let the skies be filled with birds of every kind." So God created great sea creatures, and every living thing that scurries and swarms in the water, and every sort of bird, each producing offspring of the same kind. And God saw that it was good. And then God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply. Let the fish fill the seas, and let the birds multiply on the earth." And evening passed, and morning came, marking the fifth day. Then God said, "Let the earth produce every sort of animal, each producing offspring of the same kind, livestock, small animals that scurry along the ground, and wild animals." And that is what happened. God made all sorts of wild animals, livestock and small animals, each able to produce offspring of the same kind. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let us make human beings in our image, to be like us. They will reign over the fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, the livestock, all the wild animals on the earth, and the small animals that scurry along the ground." So God created human beings in his own image. In the image of God he created them, male and female he created them. Then God blessed them and said, "Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and govern it. Reign over the fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, and all the animals that scurry along the ground." Then God said, "Look, I have given you every seed-bearing plant throughout the earth, and all fruit trees for your food. And I have given every green plant as food for the wild animals and the birds in the sky, and the small animals that scurry along the ground, everything that has life." And that is what happened. When God looked over all he had made, he saw that it was very good. And evening passed, and morning came, marking the sixth day.
Thank you, Miracle. So there's a lot there, but maybe that's where your mind goes to when we think of creation. God as our creator. He's made everything. He's made the world, formed it out of absolutely nothing. He's made the oceans. He's made the land. He's made the stars. He's made the sky. He's made every living creature, every human being. God is our creator. Everything that has life is because of him. Now, I don't know about you, but I love a good David Attenborough documentary. Who doesn't love watching, Blue Planet and all the rest of the kind of things that David Attenborough has done? There's going to be a national holiday when that man dies, isn't there? There's going to be like David Attenborough Day or something like that. But I just thought, I love watching him. I thought I'd share a little bit of that love with us all this morning. So if you're on the live stream, it's going to pause for a moment. But we're just going to watch a little trailer for one of his documentaries. The creation and life that is in it. There we go. Now this afternoon, you're going to go home and you'll be like, "Oh, I fancy watching, have a bit of lunch, watch a bit of, Planet Earth 3 maybe." That's quite a few years old now, actually. But there we go. Something unlocks in me, at least I find, when I watch those documentaries. Partly I get a bit like you said, Liz, I get a bit sad. I think of kind of what's happening to our world, and you see like the forest fires just in that little trailer there, and you see what's happening to our world. But equally, our world is breathtakingly beautiful, as it said in that little trailer there. Our world is incredible, it's beautiful, it's vast. That's the other beautiful thing about watching these documentaries, is you get to kind of put yourself in places in the world that you'd never get to go. Things that you'd never get to see because that photographer, that videographer has spent like 8 hours patiently waiting for that animal to come past or things to happen. Our world has rhythms to it, doesn't it? As we've seen in that Genesis passage, we have night and we have day. There's rhythms to it. Our world is full of life. It's abundant with life. Animals, human beings, little creatures. And God creates order out of chaos, out of nothing. So there's so much in our world, all of which has its life because of our Creator, God. In fact, as Scripture tells us, all things are created by God. In that creation story in Psalm 24 that we looked at just a moment ago, the earth is the Lord's and everything in it. The world and all who live in it, for he founded it on the seas and established it on the waters. God has made our world and he's made it beautiful. And that includes you and it includes me. The very life that we have, the very air in your lungs that we are breathing day in and day out, is thanks to God. He created life and sustains it. And it's not just any life that we are created for. We're not just made for this kind of chance life that we're lucky that things happen. We're created for a purpose and a reason. As verse 26 of that Genesis passage that Miracle read to us says, let us make mankind or human beings in our image. We have been made in God's image. We're not just accidents, happy coincidence. You and I are image bearers made in God's image to be like him. Say that to the person that you're sat next to. Say, you are made in God's image. There you go. You are made in God's image. We're made not just to be made in God's image for the sake of it either, but to show other people who God is. The fact that we are image bearers is like we are representatives of God to the world around us and say, this is what God is like. I am made in God's image. You are made in God's image. And we can show others who God is. We're made in his image to be stewards of his world that he's created. He says, be fruitful and multiply. Govern the world. Look after it. Care for this world that I'm giving to you. We are made in the beautiful image of a creative God. And the fact that God is creator and we are made in God's image means that we are creative ourselves. Now, I want to just a little show of hands. Who here would say that, yeah, I'm a creative person? Would you say you're a creative person? Not many of us, or a few of us are just shy to put our hands up. How many of us would maybe say, yeah, I'm not much of a creative person? Few of us would, yeah. I'm not. You might say, oh, I'm not very arty. I'm not that creative. Or I'm not very musical. I'm not very creative. But I want to say to you this morning, you are made in the image of a creating God, which means you are made to be creative. Those of you who created your Lego things this morning, that is creative. It's beautiful. You made all sorts of random stuff. And Josh is kind of right in one sense when he said, to us, it kind of doesn't mean anything. You know, it kind of looks a bit like, well, I don't know what that is. But to the person that's made it, they know it. They know what they've made. And I wonder, how would you describe, a bit of audience participation again, folks, how would you describe creativity? What would you say if I asked you to define or describe what is creativity? Expression, expressing yourself. Somebody else said something. Letting go, yeah. Making something new, yeah. Anything else? What is creativity? And expression, yeah. Imaginative, yeah. Maybe you have a picture of something. You go, you might have seen the Lego and thought, oh, I know what I'm going to make with this, and you made it. Or maybe you just saw the bricks and went, I'll just put these together and see what happens. Anything else? Taking risks. I like that. Yes. Being intentional and purposeful. Yeah. If you're making something, you're being intentional about what you're making. You're being purposeful about what you're creating. We're going to have another video now. You can tell it's an all-age Sunday because all the videos start popping up in the talk. But this is a video from a university. This is kind of like their advert for trying to get people to come to their university. But they asked the question, what is creativity? So as you watch the video, have a think about what is creativity? So you might not think that you're a creative person. But as I said, I would say that you are because you're made in the image of a creative God. Because you see, human beings in our world, everything has been made by God. Just look at, if you've ever seen a child playing around. I remember years back, my nephew and my brother, his son, would come and stay with me. And he would spend hours, genuinely hours of his day, setting up all of this stuff all over the living room floor and this kind of like Lego or other toys and bits and pieces. And he'd set up this massive, it'd be like probably a battle. Let's face it, boys love to smash things together. And he'd set all this stuff up. In about 5 minutes, it would be done and they'd play it and whatever. But he'd spend hours creatively setting up this whole world. Every action figure would have a personality. They'd have a name. They'd have a job that they did or a role that they were to play. I remember myself being a child, and I'm still quite hurt by this, that when my parents moved away, we got rid of all of our Lego that we had. I know, we're talking like the old Lego, the really good stuff. And now as I have a child, I'm thinking, oh, why did we do that? But I would spend hours. I had this like Wild West's big Lego thing that, again, you'd build it all and you create it, and then it would be this massive thing, and it would be smashed to pieces in about 5 minutes. But hours of creative entertainment. Just watching. Next time, if you've got children in your life, watch them when they play. See how the wheels in their brain tick. Or perhaps watching somebody create a piece of artwork. Maybe some of you are coloring in this morning. Maybe some of you are doing the prayer collaging type stuff as we talk. So I want you to know this morning that you are creative. And a bit like that video has said, it's important to let our creativity out. It's important to express it, because actually if we express our creativity, we are expressing something of God in that. Because we're expressing that I'm made in the image of a creative God, to be creative myself. And I think, do you know one of the best things about creativity? And this comes back to the Lego that those people have made. The creator always knows the true beauty, the value, the meaning, and the purpose of their creation, even if nobody else sees it. You might have, for example, you might create a beautiful piece of music. Think of some of the lovely classics that have been made in our world. You might think, I don't really care about classical music. But to somebody else, that's to the person that wrote that song, that's like the best piece of music they've ever written. In their eyes, it might be the best piece of music to ever grace our world. It might be a beautiful song. It might be the melody. It might be the words. It might be the combination of them. But to other people, don't really do classical music. Or I don't really like that sound. It just sounds like noise to me. But to other people, it's beautiful. Or what about perhaps a wonderful piece of artwork? You might think, really? It's painting and all that kind of stuff. Like in the video, it's like, why did they make that? What's the message there? Whereas if you ask the author of that artwork, the painter, they can tell you the meaning and the symbolism and the beauty that it has within it. And you go, if you say so. Or perhaps a building. Perhaps old. Perhaps new. You might have an architect in your family, for example, that would be able to tell you the beautiful things of this lovely, wonderful building that they've designed. Or why old buildings. There's beauty in what was made here. Perhaps, I quite like when we go on holiday, you might go around cities and see all the old buildings and think, that's beautiful. But to other people, it's just a lump of bricks or metal and glass. But the builder knows. The architect knows. And in the same way, I think our world is a beautiful creation. And we may not always see its beauty. We may not always know its meaning, why it was made like it is. Why is that like that? Why is that like that? But God does. It's beautiful. He knows the purpose he's made it for. And again, in the same way, you and I are beautiful. We are made in God's image. And you may not know it about yourself or the person sat next to you, but God knows the meaning, the value, the purpose of that person, of you. I wonder if you've ever stopped for a moment to think about that. Perhaps you're like me and you get ready in the morning and you think, I am just incredibly beautiful. I know it. I look in the mirror and I think there's nobody more beautiful in the world than me. Maybe my son, because he looks a lot like me. Or perhaps you're a lot less vain than I am, and you spend less time looking at yourself in the mirror. And maybe you've never thought about that and think, actually, I am made by God. I am beautiful. Sometimes it's hard to do that to ourselves, isn't it? But actually to look in the mirror and go, God chose to make me like this. He chose to give me those eyes, that nose, that hair, or in my case, becoming the lack of. God has made you the way that you are. And Ephesians, the New Testament letter to Ephesians, tells us that you are a masterpiece. And perhaps maybe there's just some people here today, when we think about this wasn't what you were expecting to hear when we talk about God is a creator this morning. But maybe God wants you to know this morning that you are a masterpiece. Whether you think it about yourself or not, he thinks you are. And perhaps, maybe you might also think about some other people in your life and you think, well, surely not them. They are too. God's made them, created them, and they are a masterpiece too. Whether you see it or not, we are all precious and loved by God. And every single creation, a bit like this Lego again, I've really managed to link that in today. I've done a good job with this. Every creation tells a story. And us as human beings, we too tell a story. Not just about how it was made, although for many of us, especially children in the room, you don't really want to go into that yet. But why it was made. Again, you might not be able to say to yourself, like, why, God, did you make me? Or why did you make me like this? Why did you make them like that? But God knows. God's created us. He knows why our world was made. We might not understand why he's made it the way he's made it and what it's for. But perhaps one of the most important things was we were made to know God, to love God, and as image bearers of God, to share him with others. So as we come to finish this morning, and in a moment Josh is going to lead us as we have an opportunity to respond and reflect on maybe some of what we've been thinking this morning. Maybe a few things for us to reflect on and remember this morning as we leave today. God is creator. He has made everything. So perhaps the next time you step outside, maybe as you leave here today, take a moment just to look around you and think about that God is creator. He's made everything. And he's made human beings to be creative. So even the things that a man made, when you look at them and think, I wonder what they were thinking when they made that. What's going on there? Our world and us are created by God, which means that you have a meaning, you have value, and you have a purpose, whether you know it or not. And finally, I wonder, what can we do to look after the world that God has made? What can we do to look after each other that God has made too? As image bearers of God, we are made to look after his creation, not just the world he's made, but each and every one of us as well. Some things for us to perhaps reflect and think on there. And just a last note from me. This is a little daily devotional book that I like to read from time to time. And this was yesterday's. And I thought a piece of it was really helpful and kind of spoke into what we're talking about today. So as we finish this morning, maybe remember this. Seek my face. This is as if it was Jesus speaking directly to us. Seek my face, and you will find fulfillment of your deepest longings. My world is filled with beautiful things, and they are meant to be pointers to me and reminders of my abiding presence. The earth still declares my glory to those who have eyes that see and ears that hear.